Okay, thank you so much for having me today. A brief introduction of myself. My name is Gabriel Oritsemeyiwa Orugboh. Um, I am currently talking from Cardiff, Wales, United Kingdom. A bit of my background: I have a bachelor's in sociology and anthropology, and a master's in population statistics, demography. I also have a master's in computing from Cardiff University, Wales. I know you'd be wondering how come I have several backgrounds. I have worked in IT for most parts of my life. I've worked as a data analyst and a software tester with Updraft Plus and a few other organizations. So most of my life I've been in IT, and this has informed my research interest. You can call me Gabriel, forget about the long names. So today I'm going to be talking on leveraging big data analytics for evidence-based social policy, a computational sociology approach. Now, before we begin, I just want you to put your imagination into work, right? Imagine a world where social policies are no longer reactive measures based on outdated surveys, but real-time predictive and adaptive interventions that anticipate societal needs before crises emerge. Or simply put, imagine if government could predict poverty before it happens, identifying at-risk communities weeks in advance. Wouldn't that be the ideal world? Once again, I'll be talking about how big data analytics, when combined with computational sociology, can transform social policy from reactive to predictive and adaptive governance. And for maximal use of time, I would be focusing on the relatability of this research work for the potential to solving social issues rather than the technical theories around it, mainly to draw your attention to the simplicity and application and impact. First of all, let me just talk briefly about the history of social policy. Historically, traditional social policy evolved as a response to visible social crises. In every part of the world, social policies or public policies in general are a response to social crisis or public crisis. However, these policies were largely influenced by moral, religious, and political ideologies rather than empirical evaluation. Policy design frequently depended on political negotiation, administrative intuition, or elite consensus. Now, over time, social policy has been reactive in nature. Members of the social professions have often been criticized for simply reacting to policy changes rather than proactively contributing to changing or making policies. In the UK, social policies refers to policies approaches that respond to social problems after they occur, rather than anticipating or preventing them through proactive planning. Such policies tend to be short-term, crisis-driven, focusing on managing symptoms rather than addressing underlying issues. Social policies in general, traditional social policies have been reactive in nature, historically speaking. Now we are looking at transitioning to predictive policy, predictive social policy using big data. Now, let's look a bit into predictive policy making. Imagine a situation: government or organization anticipates future risks and opportunities using data modeling and foresight. Policies are proactive, long-term, and preventive. Example: investing in renewable energy to prevent climate-related crises before they become severe. Going back to traditional social policies, traditional social policy is reactive, fragmented, and slow. They can be well-intentioned, but ideologically driven, which puts human bias into the picture. They lack empirical grounding. Policy is often lagging behind societal change. which creates an epistemic gap. The gap between fast-changing societies and slow policy cycles demands data-driven approaches. Today, digitalization of society has created massive social, behavioral, and economic data sets. Now, let's look briefly into the statement of problem. What is the motivation of this study? Policymakers still rely on slow, fragmented data, like trying to navigate with an old map in a fast-changing society. The current policy framework is slow, and this leads to wasted resources, missed opportunities, and policies that fail the most vulnerable. In a world overflowing with real-time data, why are our responses still slow? How can we transform governance to be as dynamic and adaptive as the society it serves? Let's reimagine policy powered by data, driven by evidence, and built for the future. Now, the mission of this study is to explore how big data analytics and computational sociology can make social policies smarter, faster, and fairer. And I will close this out by a brief overview of a comparative case of a traditionally driven policy using a case study in Nigeria versus a case study in Kenya. The cost, the benefit, and if the data-driven approach is worth it. Briefly, the objective of this study will be examining the limitation of the traditional policy model. We explore computational and data-driven methodologies and propose a hybrid framework for ethical, inclusive, and adaptive policy making. Let's get some conceptual framework and let's look at some terms. Let's take a thorough look at social policies itself, social theory, system theory, computational sociology. Let's just do a bit of conceptual clarification. Now, social policies are organized intervention to address poverty, inequality, health, employment, and social justice. Historically, early policies were driven by the ideology and the elite negotiation. The emergence of evidence-based policy in health education rely on rigorous data, measurable outcomes, and accountability. In the 21st century, big data and AI computational sociology is revolutionizing how we can design policies, particularly with growing data sources such as census record, mobile phone, metadata, social media, government and administrative data set. The data provide a lot of opportunities to reimagine how policies and strategies should be built. The key takeaway: evidence-based policy is no longer optional. It is essential for responsive governance. Now, the methodology of this study. Let's take a brief look at the methodology of this study. How do we turn data into action? By blending the best of social science and computational power. This study adopted a comparative case study. We did not just analyze numbers, we compared real-world social protection programs to see what works and why. We also quantitative evaluation meets computational model. Traditional statistics join forces with advanced algorithms, revealing patterns and invisible to the eye. The two programs that we actually used to actually compare traditional policy framework and the big data, utilizing big data for policy are, for the traditional policy framework, we use Nigeria's conditional cash transfer, which was held in 2016 to 2019, a classic approach, but with critical limitations. The data-driven policy, I utilized Kenya's Hunger Safety Net program, which was held in 2020 to 2023. What were the results? A dynamic side-by-side exploration of how data-driven innovation can transform social welfare, making policy not just smarter, but truly responsive to people's needs. Now, we use two case studies, which are the Nigerian Conditional Cash Transfer, CCT, lessons from the traditional model. I'll talk briefly about the Nigeria traditional cash transfer. The conditional cash transfer program in Nigeria aimed to reduce poverty through conditional financial transfers to vulnerable households. The policy relied primarily on survey data from the National Bureau of Statistics and manually maintained community registers. In a nutshell, the program was actually held to reduce poverty through conditional cash transfers to the vulnerable households. But the data that was relied on was survey data from the National Bureau of Statistics. And the National Bureau of Statistics actually maintained community registers. So it was more like the traditional, they used the traditional policy framework. The challenges were, first, there was data lag. Information was 3 years old. Policy makers were essentially flying blind. Second challenge of the conditional cash transfer program, targeting errors. 27% of the wrong people received benefits, while many eligible households were left out. Third challenge, slow response, 60 to 90 days to act on survey results. Urgent needs were delayed. Fourth challenge, rigid system, no way to adjust quickly when circumstances changed. Now, the implication of this is that a family in need could wait for months for aid or worse and not receive support at all. So this, the Nigeria's conditional cash transfer program was actually bedeviled by these challenges. And the program was not as effective as it was meant to be, because the family that were in need could wait for months for aid or worse and not receive any support at all. Now let's compare it to Kenya's, let's do a quantitative comparison using the big data method. Like now what we're doing is comparing big data methods versus traditional policies. Now the big data method is the Kenya's HNNP program, which is Kenya's Hunger Safety Net program. They employed big data by employing a big data-driven model, leveraging on remote sensing, mobile money transaction, and AI-based anomaly detection to identify and support households at risk of food and insecurity. The HSNP program integrated diverse data sources, including mobile operator data, satellite-derived drought indices, and digital ID registries, feeding them into a real-time analytic dashboard, predictive algorithm, and continuously refined beneficiary targeting based on updated socioeconomic indicators. Now, what were the benefits when we compare big data versus traditional policies? What are the benefits? What are the key findings? Big data supercharges policies. Before we go into the key findings, let's look at the benefits of the Kenya's HNNP program. The practical benefits are data lag, reduced 3 years to less than 1 week. So policymakers had near real-time insights. Number 2, benefits, targeting accuracy. Errors dropped to 17.8%, which is a 34% improvement. Fewer wrong households received aid. More of the right ones got help. Number 3, benefit, fast response. Payments could be delivered within 7 days, making the program truly responsive. Number 4, benefit, adaptive governance. Continuous feedback allowed the program to adjust to changing conditions automatically. So what is the real world impact? Family at risk of hunger receive aid almost immediately, improving the trust in the program and saving life. So we could see here that the big data policy method was much more effective than the traditional policy framework. Key findings. Big data supercharges policy. Harnessing vast real-time data streams transforms social policy from slow and generic to precise, adaptive, and accountability. Feedback loops in action. Computational sociology enables continuous learning policies, evolve in real time, and responding to society's shifting needs. 3, from guesswork to evidence. Data-driven insight replaces outdated assumptions, ensuring support reaches those who need it most when they need it. Bottom line, big data isn't just a tool, it's a game changer for building smarter, fairer, and more responsive social system. What are the policy implications? Shaping the future of governance. From reactive policies to proactive. Now, imagine a world where governments anticipate challenges before they arise, using predictive analytics to stay ahead of social issues. Transparent decision-making. By embedding explainable AI, every policy decision becomes clear and accountable, building trust with citizens. Community at the core. Policies are validated not just by data, but by real voices, ensuring solutions are grounded in lived experience and social trust. A new era. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a transformation. Data-driven governance empowers leaders to act swiftly, fairly, and transparently. There's a popular saying that whoever has an advantage also has a disadvantage. Now let's look into some of the limitations and the roadblocks to data-driven policy. Firstly, digital shadows. Not everyone leaves a digital footprint. When data excludes the disconnected policies, risk missing those who need help the most. Fragile foundations. Weak data infrastructure is like building on sand, unstable, unreliable, and prone to collapse when it matters most. Logarithm blind spots. Even smart system can be unfair. Biases hidden in code can amplify inequality instead of solving it. Bridging the skill gaps. Cutting-edge tools are only as powerful as people who wield them. Many institutions still lack the digital literacy needed to unlock big data's full potential. Future work. Pioneering the next frontier. Unleash hybrid data power. Imagine a world where traditional surveys and digital footprints unite, creating a richer, more complete picture of society. We aim to build systems that blend the best of both worlds, capturing voices online and offline. Champion fairness with smart logarithms. The future demands more than speed, it demands justice. We are developing algorithms that don't just optimize for efficiency, but actively seek out and correct bias. ensuring every policy is fair and as it is fast. Empower governance with digital mastery. Data is only as powerful as those who wield it. Our mission equip institutions with the computational skills and digital literacy needed to turn raw information into real-world impact. The journey doesn't just end here. By pushing boundaries and embracing innovation, we can transform social policy into a force for equity, agility, and hope. Recommendations. Igniting the future of social policies. What are the recommendations of this study? Now, fusing tradition with innovation. So the recommendation of this study is to embrace an hybrid framework that blends both classic wisdom with cutting-edge data science, creating policies that are both grounded and visionary. Champion data ethics. Make data governance and ethical standards the backbone of every decision, ensuring fairness and trust at every step. Build the digital backbone. Invest boldly in robust data. Invest boldly in robust data infrastructure, laying the foundation for agile, resilient, and future-ready governance. Empower every mind. Cultivate digital literacy and computational skills across institutions, unlocking the full potential of big data for all. Put people first. Design citizen-centered ecosystems where real voices shape real solutions, making policy truly responsive to community needs. Unite for impact. Strengthen regional cooperation, forging alliances that amplify innovation and drive collective progress. Lead with foresight. Transition to predictive governance where anticipation replaces reaction and tomorrow's challenges are met today. Conclusion. Big data and computational sociology are revolutionizing social policy. No longer must we wait and react. Now we can anticipate, adapt, and deliver support precisely when and where it's needed by transforming governance from slow and fragmented to agile and transparent. We unlock a future where every decision is powered by evidence and every voice can be heard. Note, let's build a world where data drives equity, equity, innovation, and hope. Thank you so much.